Mighty Ape is Australia's entertainment and pop culture superstore with everything from movies, music, games, toys, books, hobbies and more. Mighty Ape is your one-stop shop for the things that matter most. They constantly have hot deals and exclusive promos. And if you visit their website on the click-through banner on fakechef.net's homepage, then your purchase will help support Good Movie Monday. Mighty Ape, Australia's entertainment and pop culture superstore.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning!
Morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
You mean to wish me a good morning? What do you mean that it is a good morning whether I want it or not?
Please go away. Let me speak for the love of God.
Howdy, folks, and welcome to Good Movie Monday, the podcast presented by fakeshep.net. It's great to be with you this week, as it always is, and I'm especially happy to have our old mate Keith back at the hammer where he belongs. Welcome back, brother.
Howdy, my friend.
So, Keith, tell us a story about umbrellas and how to avoid them.
We can talk about this off mic, Glenn.
All right.
We'll leave it there. I got a feeling we're not going to.
And in case you don't know, my name is Glenn, and I'll be guiding this missile all the way to its target. Thanks for being you and coming back week after week. Welcome to our new listeners. It's great to have you all on board. As well as today's show, be sure to check out our video content all throughout the week on Facebook and YouTube. Just find the Good Movie Monday page on Facebook or search for Fake Shemp on YouTube. We do a thing called Spitball every week, and that is heaps of fun. Now, before we kick things off, I just want to say a massive thank you to Fergus Hulbert, who filled in for Keith last week. Look, what people don't know is that this guy did it without any notice whatsoever. He'd never been on the mic before. He dropped what he was doing, came to our aid without any preparation, and he was a bit of a champion. So, Ferg, mate, you're welcome back anytime. Thank you very much.
You hero without a cape, son.
Stick around because we have lots more fun stuff coming up, including a chat with the big boss of Monster Pictures, Grant Hardie, to talk about the massive news bomb that they dropped on us last week. And we conclude our interview with director Kimble Rendall, the director of Cut and Bait 3D, plus our regular segments from Jarret, Screen Realm, Adam's Just Seen, all of that good stuff.
Look, up in the sky, it's a bird!
It's a plane.
No, it's a fucking umbrella!
So easily the biggest news on our radar over the past week has been the passing of Joe Schumacher. That's a huge blow. I mean, this guy was an absolute legend of
Prolific.
his craft. Yeah. He passed away at the age of 80, which is mind-blowing. Like,
Yeah.
in my mind, he was always sort of, 60s.
A young man, yeah.
Yeah. Perhaps it's my ignorance, but he died battling a year of cancer.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
No, I wasn't aware of that either.
Yeah. Before he was a director, he was a costume designer, production designer. He was a prolific music video director.
He was in excess.
Mate, his legacy is huge.
Mm.
But anyway, look, I thought let's spend this episode maybe just fleshing through his career, talk about some of his films. People will be amazed to know some of the iconic films he has made. So
Yeah.
let me run through a heap of titles and maybe we can cherry pick some and have a bit of a discussion. So
Yes.
from the beginning, it was The Incredible Shrinking Woman, DC Cab, St. Elmo's Fire, Lost Boys, Cousins, Flatliners, Dying Young, Falling Down, The Client, Batman Forever, Time to Kill, Batman and Robin, 8mm, Flawless, Tigerland, Bad Company, Phone Booth, Veronica Guerin, Phantom of the Opera, Number 23, Blood Creek 12, and Trespass.
Yeah.
That's huge.
The number of titles which I actually forgot that he directed.
Yeah, it's a very, very eclectic kind
Yeah.
of lineup of films. I mean, people hang a lot of shit on this guy for ruining the Batman franchise.
Indeed, yes.
Well, I would take issue with that. I think Batman Forever is actually a pretty good film. I think.
Yeah, Batman Forever was a massive film when
Yeah,
it came out.
maybe his stamp on the franchise sort of dumbed it down a little bit. Fair enough, but when you weigh up all these other films that he's done, that's incredible. Veronica Guerin is a great film.
That is a great film. I raised my eyebrow when I saw that on his filmography. I'm like, oh, of course he did do that. I forgot about that.
What's another one? I'm thinking Flawless with
Flawless?
Philip Seymour Hoffman
Yeah.
and De Niro.
Yes.
Incredible. That when it came out surprised me that he directed that.
Phone Booth.
Yep.
Very taut little thriller. Good performance.
Great concept. That's
It
part
is.
of a double feature because Larry Cohen, who wrote that, also wrote Cellular, which was the
Oh,
other
he did.
mobile phone thriller.
I did not realise that. Yeah.
That was his companion. He wrote them together back to back, and
That's
I think
cool.
originally he wanted to direct both of them. But
Okay.
Never did. But thank God for that because he's a B movie
Yeah,
director.
I'm going to give Joel the points for this one with Phone Booth.
Look, I mean, some of the ones people would argue are lesser would be like maybe Trespass. He went out
Yeah.
with a bit of a dud with Nicole Kidman and was it Nicolas Cage?
Yeah, and it's not. I'm prepared to be fact checked here. Paul Bettany's not in that, is he? Is it Paul Bettany? No, I'm thinking of something else. With
Okay.
Michael Douglas. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Let's continue.
Why don't we? Well, that's it. I mean, he did The Lost Boys is one of the most
Yeah.
iconic teenage sort of vampire films of all time.
That seems to be the one that comes up a lot with
It
him.
does. It's the one that all the newspaper articles run.
Yeah.
8mm, which was the sort of spiritual follow-up to 7,
Yes.
which Andrew Kevin Walker wrote both.
Mm.
That's a great, dark,
Yeah.
edgy film.
Yeah, you're a big fan of that, aren't you?
I do. I like
Yeah.
it. I mean, it's not a perfect film, and the criticism a lot of people levy at it are warranted.
Mm.
But look, it's been nearly 20 years, or it has been 20 years.
It was 99, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 21. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, you look back at it, I think it holds up pretty well.
Yeah.
It's edgy, it's dark,
Yeah.
and pretty gross.
Yeah, indeed. St. Elmo's Fire. That was another one of his that I forgot. That's got to be one of the most iconic titles on his filmography, I think. That's quite famous, isn't
Absolutely. That's got a really good soundtrack
Yeah.
from memory.
it? Good cast. Emilio.
What about DC Cab with Mr. T?
I haven't seen that. That sounds brilliant.
Yeah.
Mi-
Great poster.
Mr. T, he made every poster look great, that man.
Yeah,
Did
look,
he? Yeah, wow.
what was I going to say? Bad Company was one with Anthony Hopkins and Chris Rock, and it's sort
Mm.
of a buddy cop sort of action.
I've seen that.
I like that film.
Yeah.
It holds up pretty well as well. And just the fact that Hollywood just relied on Joel Schumacher to come in and make
Yeah.
these films, they base their knowledge on just what he's done, and like, how can you go from directing Cousins
Mm.
or DC Cab or Batman Forever? Let's get him to do Tigerland.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that just makes no sense.
Jack of all trades. I mean, they're different filmmakers, but he reminds me a little bit of Richard Donner, just like a guy that can bounce around genres, do different things, has a number of films that are very famous, but that maybe they don't associate with the director.
Yep.
Yeah, they kind of, I don't know, they just remind me of each other.
Well, Phantom of the Opera sticks out like a sore thumb as well.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the musical itself.
Yeah, okay.
When the film came out, I was so hyped. The film landed with a thud.
Yeah, it came
I
out
think
2004, didn't it?
Poorly cast, because I think Gerard Butler was overall good, but he can't sing, and that's an issue when you're doing Phantom of the Opera.
Kind of essential, isn't it? Yeah.
But then you got Minnie Driver, or Minnie Driver, I should say. Horrible.
Mm.
Her character's supposed to be a big, fat, gelatinous kind of opera singer, and she's like thin and
Attractive.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's made no sense to me.
Yeah.
But the production design on that is just
The
stunning.
production design's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about Batman and Robin, man?
Well, Batman and Robin, we don't need to talk about that. I mean, we're trying to celebrate their career here.
Hey, this is Jarret and welcome to PE Class. Now, I'm going to rocket through these films this week as there is a ton of releases. First up, from Defiant Screen Entertainment is a movie called The Iron Mask. This is being released on Blu-ray and DVD. It stars Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jackie Chan. That's right, two huge action icons in a movie you've heard literally zero about. I've got my doubts as to whether this film will be any good, but I'm prepared to be proven wrong as look, it's Arnie and Jackie. Then there's the film The Shed that's headed out this week on home and on just DVD, no Blu-ray. Now this film's tagline is, "You're dead if you go in the shed." Great tagline. Well, is it really? Anyway, it's the best thing about the movie. Moving on to the next one, The Spy. Now this is a World War II drama thriller, and it's got a tagline that reads, "A diva turned spy the Nazis never saw coming." Though I reckon it would read a little bit better if it were to say, "A diva turned spy that you did not see coming." Anyway, moving on to Eagle Entertainment. 3 releases from Eagle this week. First up, Blackwater. It's a new actioner and it reunites Universal soldiers Dolph Lundgren and Jean-Claude Van Damme. Then there's another film coming out called Trick. This is a DTV slash from the guys that brought you My Bloody Valentine 3D and Drive Angry. It's got Tom Atkins in it, so, it's got to be worth something. But it's also got the star of Son of Mask and Malibu's Most Wanted, Jamie Kennedy. Yeah, that guy. Remember him? I wish I could forget him. Then the last release from Eagle this week is Radio Flash, which is an apocalyptic actioner. Then Jigsaw. Yes, Jigsaw, they're still around. I'm just as surprised. It's still sinking in with me, but they've got a film out this week called Big Kill. It's a Western, and it's got Lou Diamond Phillips of Young Guns and La Bamba, but mainly Young Guns because it's a Western. Michael Paré, Jason Patrick, and DTV King, Danny Trejo. Then Rialto have got a release this week called Villain. Now stop me if you've heard this plotline before. It's a British crime flick, and it follows a recently paroled ex-con who, surprise, surprise, gets involved in crime once more. I'm almost 100% that I read that exact synopsis a week or two ago for another film. But anyway, Roadshow. Roadshow's got the most oddest release of anyone this week. They're releasing Shaft to DVD. Now this is the new Shaft, the one that Paramount made. It's basically sold to every territory outside of the States to Netflix and then handled the theatrical in the US. And for some reason, Roadshow is releasing it on DVD. I don't know if anyone really enjoyed it. And, like, is anyone going to care that it's coming out on DVD? I certainly don't. I mean, if it's coming out 4K or Blu-ray, maybe, because then people could enjoy it in better quality. But the quality of this DVD is going to be less than watching it in probably the shittiest stream on Netflix. But anyway, moving on to Shock. Shock have a ton of releases this week, and they actually trump pretty much every other label because they're releasing a ton of films on Blu-ray. Granted, a lot of them are reissues, and those reissues include Desperado, Gothica, and SWAT all being released on Blu-ray and DVD. I can't comment whether they've got the special features that were present on the previous Sony releases, but in any case, are you really going to watch any special features on SWAT? Highly unlikely, and if you were, you probably would have bought it like 20 years ago when it was released. Nah. Moving on to Cinema Cult. Cinema Cult, they've got one release this week, and it's David Fincher's The Game on Blu-ray and DVD. So casual fans can pick this film up, cheap, probably with no special features, and that's fine. The film's had a Criterion release in the US, so if you're a super fan, you probably own that version. If you're a super fan, you're probably going to buy the Arrow Blu-ray that's coming out. So this one's going out for those casual fans, the people that just want to watch the movie, and I'm sure it will be fine. So let's be grateful Cinema Cult are offering affordable entertainment for, someone that doesn't necessarily want the deluxe packaging or the special features. Anyway, moving on. Hollywood Gold series from Shock. Now, these are all local Blu-ray debuts, and in some instances, they may actually be global Blu-ray debuts. So they're all classics, obviously. We've got Dark Command, Flame of Barbary Coast, Rio Grande, The Fighting Kentuckian, and the last one, which I find to be a bit of a tongue twister, so let's go. Wake of the Red Witch. If you say it's slow, it's fine. All on Blu-ray and DVD. Then last, and probably definitely least this week, is Vendetta, that have got 3 films headed out to DVD. The first one's called Collision Earth. And this one's about meteors that are headed for, yeah, you guessed it, Earth. Anyway, that old chestnut. This DTV effort stars Eric Roberts, who's the only actor that's paid the same way as dodgy hotels that are frequented by sex workers by the hour. And next up, Killer Sofa. Yep, title says it all, you know what it's about. So, well actually, is it a sofa? It's more of an armchair, if you ask me. Is this the successor to Rubber, that brilliant postmodern comedy from almost a decade ago? No, this is the fantastic furniture version of that. Then the last one's called The Ascent. Now this is a genre mashup that follows a team Black Ops who are pitted against a never-ending stairwell. That's no shit. And that's me for this week. Until next week, stay physical.
Live from America's premier horror and paranormal convention, every Friday night, Scarefest Television brings you guests from the horror and paranormal fields, plus featured movie reviews, entertainment features, and short films. Watch us live every week at scarefestradio.com or via Facebook and Twitter by following The Scarefest.
Scarefest Radio, the radio you can see.
Yeah, that's right. You know what I'm about to say. Make sure you catch Scarefest TV this week. It airs at 11 a.m. on Saturday, Australian Eastern Standard Time, which is 9 p.m. Friday, American Eastern Standard Time. This week on my segment, I'm going to be looking at John Hewitt's chilling serial killer film, Acolytes, starring Joel Edgerton. So make sure you check that out. Scarefest have also got some massive news lined up, so make sure you pay attention to their social media because it is huge indeed. There's going to be a little bit of me in it for all of you, so make sure you do follow it for the sake of me. Watch this space. There's also an exciting podcast I'm involved with Scarefest coming up, and I want you all to listen.
There's something strange happening over at the old Monsterfest place. Late every Friday night, strange sounds can be heard emanating from their Facebook page. Menacing lights flashing from mysterious posts. You've had a good movie Monday. Are you ready for a Friday fright night? He was once the greatest film editor in the world until a freak accident left him with a shattered psyche and a set of wooden fingers. Now all Ray Sizzo is good for is editing cut-rate movies for sleazy producers. When a gloved maniac starts stabbing the cast and crew of his latest film, it's up to Ray to find the killer. Is it the good-looking but moronic star, Cal Konitz? The adulterous actress, Josephine Jardine? The incompetent police detective, Peter Porphyroy? Or could it be the editor himself? After all, what's a few cups between friends? Tune in to facebook.com/monsterfilmfest this Friday, the 3rd of July at 9 p.m. for our Friday Fright Night screening of The Editor, a film by Astron 6. See it, if you dare.
As I mentioned earlier, there's some exciting news coming from the Monster Camp. Our friends over at Monster Pictures have announced their partnership with producer Chris Brown and Fairvale Entertainment, and the big plan is to create a local production company to produce homegrown horror films over the course of the next 3 years. But rather than me butcher this information, there's no better source than that of the horse's mouth. So I've got Grant Hardie from Monster Pictures on the line to fill us in all about that. Grant, it's good to have you, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Mate, congrats on this big reveal last week. This is exciting news.
Yeah. It's been a while in the making. When we started Monster and started the festival Monster Fest, we always had plans to do this. So there's been different stop starts and over the years, but during lockdown, obviously gave me a lot of spare time to attend to things that I've been meaning to get to for a long time, and this was one of them. So it was, whilst it was bad in one way for society, for us, we managed to get something really positive out of it. So there you go.
Can you tell us a little bit about the company and what's in store?
Okay, so basically what we've announced now is just our intentions and a call out. So essentially what we're looking for, we've said we'll produce 5 films over the next 3 years, but that's not going to stop us in probably identifying a few more projects than that, because even though we'll aim to sort of have those films to market in that amount of time, we want to have other projects on the go. And we also really want to sort of assemble a team of, writers, directors, other producers, all sorts of creatives, so that, basically we're working constantly on new films, and just keeping people in jobs and discovering new talent and supporting an industry that we love. So,
well, I was going to ask you about like what the strategy is to find these films and filmmakers. Have you got like a game plan in motion, or is that still hush?
Look, it's not a game plan as such, but I mean, of course, we know there's some filmmakers that we know we want to work with, and some have already reached out to us having seen the announcement. Others we're in the middle of approaching. It's not to say that they may have any projects at this point, but of course, we're going to go to those people. But look, we actually really want to do, find some and support some talent that that is up and coming. I mean, we've played lots of Australian films during Monster Fest, and a lot of the filmmakers have gone out and made films, self-finance them, put it all together themselves. So again, we want to give the opportunity to those guys to to provide a system where we can actually support them right through the process. So we're going to them as well, and as I say, a lot of them have already come to us already, of course. So
scratching at your door.
Yeah, you've just actually caught me. I'm in the middle of replying to emails. I've got about 50 sitting there that I need to get back to. So.
Well,
sorry, I was just going to say, I've also been watching lots of films at Cannes this week, because the virtual market's on, so I've seen some great stuff there too.
Well, that actually takes me to a question I was going to ask at the end, but I may as well touch upon it now. I was going to say, are there plans to take these projects overseas to international markets?
Yeah, absolutely. The whole idea of doing this is to have a system where we already have all of that in place. So, I think a lot of times, producers and filmmakers, the issue that they have is they have the idea, they get it to a certain point, but then they've got to have those marketplace attachments in order to complete their financing. We actually have all of that in place, and that's the idea of Fairvale. Is they come in with traditionally that amount of money that filmmakers have to get out of the market. Fairvale will finance that component, which allows us to have the luxury to look to make the films and then get those marketplace attachments in place. But we'll be looking to we want to work with international distributors, international sales agents. So we'll start to collect and we already have. We'll start to get a network of those guys that we will take the projects to and get early interest on as well. So it's really, the whole thing is set up to enable filmmakers to give us a concept. If we love that concept, we'll help them get it to script stage and then take it out to market. And the intention is that we once we do that we'll fully finance the film and see the whole thing through to release.
Mate, it's exciting. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little, before I let you go, can you give us a little insight into Chris Brown for people listening that don't know who he is? He's a big deal.
Yeah, Chris has worked in a few countries actually. So he started his career in England and he worked with Neil Jordan. He did The Company of Wolves and also did Mona Lisa with Neil Jordan. And then he worked with Julian Temple and David Bowie on Absolute Beginners. I'm pretty sure he actually was part of the Comic Strip Presents as well. I think he set that company up, and so he's worked with all of those guys like Rick Mail and Dawn French and Adrian Edmondson, and yeah, he was pretty instrumental in that whole scene. And then he moved to New Zealand and did a number of features there before moving to Australia. And he's done some big films here. He did The Proposition, he did Triangle, Bait 3D. Although it's not a genre film, he produced The Railway Man, which I think was, the highest grossing Aussie film of that year when it came out, with Nicole Kidman and Colin Firth. So yeah, he's very well established, very well respected, and he's actually a big fan of genre films. He loves them.
Yeah, awesome.
And that's why he wanted to team up with us, because he wants to make horror films. So,
well, you're like a master of the segue, mate, because you mentioned Bait 3D. We've got the part 2 of our interview with Kimble Rendall coming up in a few minutes. So nicely done.
Kimble actually just emailed me with the script.
There you go.
Maybe he's segue. How's that?
Awesome. Well, mate, thanks for taking the time. This is very exciting, and I think everyone is pretty psyched to see how this all unfolds.
Yeah, no problem, man. And look, there'll be lots of news coming out in the next few months, and we'll be hoping to announce our first round of projects soon as well.
Oh, can't wait. All right, well, I'll see you around.
Thanks so much, mate.
No worries. Cheers.
Okay, bye.
Wish I had a totes.
Wish I had a totes. Why? Because totes open so easily, reliably, with a special deep dome shape to give you real protection in wind and rain, each carefully engineered and built to last.
This totes is 8 years old. Still works beautifully.
Totes, America's favorite umbrella brand. A most wished for gift.
Right. I got my wish. Now I got a totes.
Totes.
So 2 weeks ago, we reported on the Astor's return. We read out the entire July calendar. So our plan was essentially to discuss each week's program as they come along, to give our 2 cents worth about the films that are worth watching. But here's the thing, and it's kind of amazing. They've completely sold out of just about every session for the next, 2 weeks or so.
Much to my chagrin, I didn't get tickets.
Oh, mate, that sucks.
I was so hanging for 2001, the 70mm. Just, if anyone has not seen 2001 of the Astor in 70mm, it is an absolute must. It is one of the 2 or 3 best films to see in that format, or ever. It's amazing.
I'm sure they will play it again, the repertoire.
They better. The owner, if you're listening, mate, please, come us some tickets.
Is that a direct reference to Zach?
It is Zachary.
Hit us up, mate. Hit us up. So look, 2001 sold out. Dunkirk, Interstellar sold out. Dark Knight Rises, The Shining, Goodfellas, Blade Runner, The Matrix, all completely sold out.
Yeah.
Ugh, I reckon that shows an eagerness for people to get back.
I think it's great. And do you know what? It's my own fault. I had the opportunity to jump on and get the tickets, and I wanted to hit The Shining, 2001, Goodfellas, and then I wanted North by Northwest.
Yep.
I wonder if that's sold out. I'm going to check that as soon as we're done. But I'm so keen. They're some of my favourite films of all time.
Yeah.
But it's incredibly, I suppose, what's the word? Encouraging, I guess, that they are selling out and that people want to see these films, because I've been craving a movie on the big screen, man, and there's no place like the Astor to see it.
Correct. I mean, granted, COVID-19 probably puts a little bit of a restriction on how much they can fill the cinema.
Oh, of course, particularly now.
But I mean, all that's left for us right now, I guess, is The Wizard of Oz, which is still up for sale this Sunday, July 5th at 3 p.m. Batman Begins in the Prestige is next Monday. They've still got tickets to that.
Okay.
So I'm sure they will probably sell fast. So just make sure you hit up their website before you actually get along. And
Wizard of Oz would be good.
That'd be disappointing to go all the way in and turned away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Their website is astortheatre.org.au, so make sure you check them out. But Keith, I guess Batman Begins, The Prestige, and Wizard of Oz, that's all that's left for the next 2 weeks. I reckon The Prestige is the only one of those we've never covered on this show.
You're probably right.
So maybe we have a little bit of a talk about that.
Yeah, I'm well versed in The Prestige,
You
mate.
love The Prestige?
No, you know what? I used to. I'm not saying it's one. I think I remember mentioning that every time I came home from school for like 3 months, I'd watch Match Point.
Yeah.
I had a similar thing with The Prestige. It was a big film for me when I was in like year 11, year 12, early 20s. I used to watch it all the time. Loved it. I love the concept, the mystery. It's quite a tragic film. And it looks great. And you got Bowie. No, I love The Prestige. I haven't seen it in years. I'd like to revisit.
Christopher Nolan, folks, if you haven't,
of course.
if you're not up to speed with that one.
So I always loved the films he did after the one for the studio. You know how he'd always do like Batman Begins and you give me The Prestige. I'll give you The Dark Knight, you give me Inception.
Yep.
Interstellar aside, I always enjoyed those in-between ones like The Prestige, Inception more. The Prestige is great.
More passion film.
Yeah, and more interesting, I think. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like The Prestige a lot. And this was an interesting one because it was one of those what they call twin films, which is where Hollywood produces two films that are very similar at the same time.
Absolutely.
They're competing. So one studio catches wind of a project, they kind of replicate it. So you had The Illusionist come out at the same time. And that was good too.
That's a good film.
Had a really great, sting in the tail, that one. But
yeah.
Prestige, I loved. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the performances. But it annoyed the hell out of me because I didn't like the supernatural aspects of it.
Yeah, okay.
I was so along for the ride when it was all just plausible and this was almost historical.
Yes.
And I'm like, yes. And then it just went supernatural.
And then David Bowie rocks up.
Oh, my God. And I love Bowie, so that was exciting. And he was so good in it.
He's brilliant in The Prestige.
But what happens?
Okay.
Yeah, it just lost me.
That's fair. I need to see it again to see if that would bother me now. Because the way Nolan makes films and the way he filmed it is he does it very factual. He wants it to be realistic, doesn't he? And then he kind of throws you a curveball there with all those top hats.
That's exactly right. And I guess when The Illusionist, sort of got released, that was much more of a lineal story where the title sort of alluded to the fact that there was some trickery going on here.
Yeah, that's right.
I bought into that at the time, but I think if you were to watch them back to back, I think The Prestige probably holds up.
I'd say it probably does, yeah. But I mean, it's like the Hugh Jackman relationship with Bale is fascinating because Bale is the true magician, isn't he?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. And Jackman is kind of
the charlatan.
He is indeed. He is the faker of the magician world. He is sensational in that film. Though. That's one of his best roles ever.
That's the biggest spoiler bomb you've ever dropped.
Sorry, gang. Look, in defense of me, it is 14 years old. I mean, spare me.
What's the statute of limitations on these things?
Right.
What's happening, everybody? It's Guillermo here again from ScreenRealm.com, Australia's favourite entertainment website covering all things movies and television. Let's look at a little bit of what we've covered in the past week, and let's kick off with a new Twister. There's a remake or redo or reboot. Different outlets are calling it different things, but there's a remake in the way for Twister. A reboot is now in development at Universal Pictures. The studio was looking to tackle a new film focusing on those giant tornadoes, and they may have their director at the ready. Currently in talks to take the helm is Joseph Kosinski, whose credits include Tron Legacy, Oblivion, Only the Brave, and the upcoming Tom Cruise sequel, Top Gun Maverick. No plot details for the new Twister are known as yet, with a search now on for the film's screenwriter. Michael Keaton could be back as Batman. Seriously, he's entered negotiations to reprise the role of Batman in The Flash, Warner Brothers' long-gestating DC adaptation that's apparently still set to star Ezra Miller. According to a report by The Wrap, Keaton's return as Bruce Wayne will be made possible with a multiverse narrative that will find, and I quote, Ezra Miller's Barry Allen travel back in time to prevent the death of his mother. The result? Allen inadvertently creates another universe protected by Michael Keaton's Batman, now 30 years older. Although it's certainly an exciting proposition to have Keaton back as Batman, it's not a certainty as yet. He still hasn't signed that dotted line. The Flash is to be directed by It movie's helmer Andre Muschietti, and the most recent draft of the script comes from Birds of Prey writer Christina Hodson. Production on The Flash is expected to get underway in early 2021, COVID-19 limitations allowing, of course. Filmmaker Edgar Wright, known for Shaun of the Dead and Baby Driver, is on board to direct an adaptation of 2019 best-selling novel The Chain, which has a pretty crazy storyline. Universal Pictures has forked out an amount reportedly in the 7 figures to acquire this one. The book from author Adrian McKinty tells the story of Rachel, a woman who discovers that her young daughter has been kidnapped. There are only 2 ways to ensure her daughter isn't killed. Firstly, she must kidnap another child. And secondly, that child's parents must kidnap another child. Hence, The Chain. Edgar Wright will be directing from a screenplay written by Jane Goldman, whose credits include Kick-Ass, Kingsman: The Secret Service, The Woman in Black, X-Men: First Class, and Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. But before we see what Wright does with The Chain, we'll be getting his psychological horror film Last Night in Soho, starring Anya Taylor-Joy. That one is scheduled to hit cinemas in April 2021. Anne Hathaway and Bill Murray will be starring in a dog movie titled Bum's Rush. The film will have Hathaway playing Pearl, a skilled custom bootmaker who crosses paths with a stray dog named Bum, who will be voiced by Bill Murray. The two highly independent souls find themselves at a crossroads, one that will change both their hearts and minds in ways they can hardly imagine. Set to direct the picture is Aaron Schneider, who previously helmed 2009 Robert Duvall and Bill Murray film Get Low. By the way, that's a film that you should really check out if you haven't. Schneider also directed upcoming Tom Hanks World War II film Greyhound, which is getting a release on Apple TV Plus in July. And whispers of a sequel to the 2000 box office smash Chicken Run, the stop-motion animated film, have been circling for years, but better late than never, Netflix has announced that they've got the sequel on the way. Set to direct the sequel is Sam Fell, whose credits include co-directing CG animated films Paranorman and Flushed Away. As Fell himself revealed, the sequel will have the chickens trying to break in, as opposed to the first film where they were trying to break out of their chicken farm. The film will follow Ginger and Rocky, who have hatched an egg together and had a daughter named Molly. The girl grows up quickly, as children do, and Molly begins to outgrow the island. At the same time, rumors start to float of a new and terrible threat on the mainland, forcing Ginger to rally up her troops and put their own hard-earned freedom at risk for the good of all chicken kind. Now, Mel Gibson led the voice cast of Chicken Run, but apparently he's been let go from the sequel due to past anti-Semitic comments coming to light again thanks to a recent Winona Ryder interview. And if you're after an action thriller to watch on Netflix, may we suggest Lost Bullet. Our writer Adam Fleet reviewed the French Netflix action film. It's only around 90 minutes long and it's highly worth a watch. He gave it 4 out of 5 stars, saying, "It sits in a similar ballpark to the streamer's underrated 2017 film Wheelman. If you're so inclined, Lost Bullet offers up more anti-heroes, double crosses, and tumbling automobiles than you can shake a gear stick at. So if you don't mind subtitles, check out Lost Bullet. Not many people are talking about it, so it's shaping up to be a bit of a hidden gem. Get on it. And sticking with Netflix, we have the complete July 2020 release schedule up, so jump on and check out everything that's coming out in July. There's some big things. That about does it for me, guys, as we've all been talking about on Good Movie Monday. Rest in peace, Mr. Joe Schumacher. Thanks for all the memories, the Lost Boys, Falling Down, Flatliners, the list goes on. You will be missed. My name's Guillermo, Screen Realm, out.
Oh, how is that for a wake-up call? That was Come to Daddy by Aphex Twin, which is the music equivalent of a triple shot espresso, I guess you could say. Or maybe if Keith was going to compare it, it'd be what, 4 tea bags?
It'd be an Assam bowl tea, which is what I like to call a 5-leafer. If you've never had it, get on it.
And of course, we played that for you today because it is from the 8mm soundtrack, one of Joel Schumacher's darker films. Like I said, starring Nicolas Cage and Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin.
Speaking of dark films, here comes the second part of my interview with director Kimble Rendall. Now, I can't remember if I mentioned last week that in addition to directing Cut, Bait 3D, and Guardians of the Tomb, he also directed the second unit on the Matrix sequels, Gods of Egypt, Knowing, Ghost Rider, iRobot, Casanova. He's quite a big deal. Some of the music videos he's directed include Cold Chisel's iconic Flame Trees video, videos for The Angels, Mental as Anything, Hunters and Collectors, Dragon, and even UB40.
Wow.
Amongst others. So anyway, here's the rest of our chat, picking up where we left off last week. Enjoy.
The thing I've always loved most about Australian cinema is the fact that we entice these big Hollywood stars down here and they sort of immerse themselves in our culture. And I love watching that, and it's always great to see.
Yeah, well, you're right, because having worked with a lot of American actors that do come onto the films, they really love the culture, they love the being here and if they're filming in Sydney or wherever it might be. In that case, it's South Australia, and they do immerse themselves in they love being here for that period of time, and we look after them. The culture's not that different from the Americans in any case, but there's quite a few reasons why actors do films, and okay, the money's there, or it's the right project, the right time, interesting, or we'd like to go to that country. I've never been to the country, so there's a lot of things come into play. But really, they do have to like the script, and she really liked the script. So
I guess there's also that element of pride that Aussie audiences have when a big actor comes down and wants to be part of our landscape.
Exactly. And Aussies love all that. When we sort of get recognised by us, but because there's that whole thing with the tall poppy thing that goes on in Australia too. That lots of it. There is another side to Australian culture that does embrace. Embrace. It was great to hear at the beginning you say that you really loved the film, and at the time it made an impression on you, and that's great to hear, because there is another side to Australian culture that tends to run down our own products and stuff that we do, but I think they might be disappearing a little bit, I hope.
Yeah, well, actually, other than the publications that I write for, I also run my own genre-based website called fakeshemp.net.
I love the name.
Yeah, fakeshemp.net. And we focus on a lot of Aussie genre film, and we've even hosted screenings. I know we did one for the Aussie slasher film called Blood Moon, which we got a massive thrill out of.
Yeah, no, cool. And when I saw the name of your site, I thought, oh, that's an awesome name. Where does it come from?
Yeah, well, I guess it all kind of stemmed back from the whole Three Stooges story. When Shemp died, they had to put a stand-in actor in, essentially a fake Shemp, and then obviously years later Sam Raimi adopted the name for any actor on screen that doesn't have their face to camera, and they become fake Shemps. And I guess when we started, we were not professional film critics, so we considered ourselves a little bit like fake Shemps, but obviously we've gone on to earn our stars, or our badges, as you will.
Yeah, no, brilliant. No, that's what I thought. Once I saw it, it was a brilliant name. I've got to check out your website. I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, no, give it a look, because pretty much everything I write for other publications ends up getting filtered there anyway. There's podcasts and other interviews and all that kind of stuff too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. But anyway, just before we go, I really want to quickly talk about the Blu-ray release that Umbrella have put out, and you did an audio commentary for that one. Can you tell me what it was like to respond to your film all of these years later?
Really favourably, actually, seeing it, quite fondly. It was good to see it, because I haven't seen it for a long time. It's the first time I've seen it for ages, years, in fact. And generally, when you finish a film, a lot of filmmakers don't really look at their films again, I noticed. And I'm a bit the same. I sort of do it and you move on. So I haven't seen it for a long time. And so I did the commentary with Dave Warner, and we sat in this, room, and then up it came, and we started to get hooked into it again, and just remembering the stories when we made it. But I responded to it very favourably. That's why I'm looking forward to seeing it on the big screen again. And I had a copy of the grade, and I looked at it and I thought, shit, that was pretty good actually. Some of that seemed to work really well. And
yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I don't know how many people are going on to it, but it'd be interesting to see it with a reasonable size, or a bunch of with a good audience.
I think you'll get a pretty full audience, probably a packed house, if I'm being honest. I mean, the film has sort of built its audience up over the years, and I know we've talked about it several times on our website, so I don't have any doubt about that.
Yeah, no, well that's great to hear. I mean, it's and on other films I do, and they refer to it and say, "No, it's a cult classic." I go, "Really?"
That must be surreal.
It's very surreal, and interestingly enough, it's over time too, because it's I was telling that story about when I went to France, and it was such a difference from the release in Australia to when it came out in France. And I went to that festival, and it was in the middle of winter, and there was this avenue of fans of the movie, of that movie, and all the movies screening, but they they were throwing. So I walked down the snow, sort of laden, walkway that went into this big cinema where it was being screened, and they were all throwing snowballs at me, going, "Cut, we love it, cut."
That's awesome.
Going from summer in Australia, where sort of release here to that over there, you go, wow, they actually like directors over here.
That's it. I mean, that's awesome. I love that. So one thing I want to actually wrap up on is sources like IMDb are never really all that reliable. So can we get it from the horse's mouth? What is coming up for you and what audiences can expect next?
Well, the one that I'm trying to get up going is called Age of Beasts, and it's a monster movie, and the producer's Grant Hill, who I work with on the Matrix, the trilogy, and that's what meant he produced that. He's now producing Matrix 4. He and I've, over the years been looking for projects, and this project came up, which it came out of a graphic novel being rewritten. It's a monster movie, and it's a really cool script, and we're trying to raise the finance for that. So it's a film in Australia. So.
Oh well, good luck. That's a great title.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, I mean, we have got interest in it, but it's a bigger budget. So these days it's interesting trying to raise money for these films. It's getting harder to put it together. But anyway, hopefully we'll get it. It'll make a great game as well. So.
Well, it sounds like it. It conjures all kinds of wonderful things in my mind, so I look forward to whatever it might be. But I want to thank you for taking the time out to talk to me tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, well, that's brilliant. Thank you. And I'm also starting up a new company, like a new company that, so eventually I want to make more of these films and work with, up-and-coming filmmakers too. So let you know, it'll be coming, trying to get it going soon.
So a big shout out to Kimble. That was a great conversation, and it was a real thrill for me to speak to him at length. Interesting that he would throw in that little extra bit at the end about starting a production company. It's not the same production company that Grant was talking about earlier, which is interesting because his producer, Chris Brown, produced Bait 3D, and he's the one behind the monster thing. Like, it's all, weirdly interconnected, but it's not the same. Anyway, we have a copy of Cut on Blu-ray to give away, and we're going to do that right now. So, Keith, it's almost symbolic that Cut was released through Umbrella Entertainment. This isn't too traumatic for you, is it?
Well, I will see. I'm having flashbacks.
So we asked people to share thoughts on Cut on our socials, and we're going to give this one away to the big guy himself. Brody Kane, our loyal listener, he gave us every reason to select him this week. So cheers, bloke. There's a fresh Blu-ray coming at you, brother.
Good work, son.
We have another giveaway coming up in a few minutes, so do keep listening.
Still to love the bridegroom I have lost and the lifeblood of his heart to drink.
The lifeblood.
The lifeblood.
Lifeblood. Listen, I am not known for my readings.
You teach
and
people.
I don't do it while reading from a book. I do it from knowledge stored up in my head.
Okay, point taken.
Did they pay you for that?
Pretty well, actually. I mean, it's okay. I mean, education faculty. I'm not engineering faculty, but I do okay. Anyway,
Enough to be able to afford a six swing for your wife.
A six swing?
Sex swing is what I meant to say.
No, you didn't.
You wouldn't know it from that grab, but those were the guys from Bonehead Weekly talking about the history of Dracula as part of a part 2 exploration of the character and the mythology. So find them on Facebook or YouTube, hit their subscribe tab, and look out for an upcoming episode featuring little old me.
Hey guys, it is Adam here from Adam's Just Seen with another Good Movie Monday recommendation. This week we are mourning the passing of filmmaker Joe Schumacher, the dude who is probably the spottiest hit and miss filmmaker that has, ever lived. I mean, this guy has absolute bona fide and kind of like masterpieces and absolute stinkers. But Joel always made interesting movies. I don't think that anyone can kind of doubt that. And I personally really liked it. I liked his work, and it has fallen upon me to review Tigerland. Definitely like a fascinating outlier in his filmography. Like, who could honestly believe, with the credits removed, that this was made by the same filmmaker that made Batman and Robin? This anti-war, gritty 16mm film has nothing in common with any of those lavish productions. that Joel had done in the past. This movie is kind of famous, I guess, well, not not that famous because it lost a huge amount of money on release, but it is famous for announcing the arrival of a movie star in Colin Farrell. Now, the term, star-making performance gets thrown around all the time, but this is a star-making performance. Colin Farrell here is Private Roland Boz, a insubordinate recruit who is in the military machine, the training facility, Tigerland, that's where the title comes from, and is not taking any of it. He is dismantling the machine. He refuses to buy what they are selling him. And it is an amazing performance, incredibly charismatic. It's got that whole cool hand Luke thing going on here. And Farrell, the movie copped a little bit of shit at the time because people were like, is this kind of like a beefcake movie? Is Farrell too hot to be like a soldier and stuff like that? But look, he transcends, he's, young and fit and gorgeous in this, but he transcends it. He has genuine movie star charisma in this. And the minute I saw it, I'm like, who is this dude? I want to watch this dude in movies forever. And it's fantastic. Funnily enough, Matthew Davis, who's kind of like his co-lead here, that guy was in Legally Blonde, and at the time, he was a bigger star, and I thought Matthew Davis was going to be the guy, and Farrell has just completely eclipsed him. Those two boys are the co-leads. They are offered really good support here by some amazing character actors like Cole Hauser, Shea Wingham, even Michael Shannon is in this, and so I think that what is kind of great about this movie is that just how gritty and realistic that it is. It is actually, they never get to war. This isn't a big war epic or anything, but it is genuinely tense, and it has action sequences and training sequences, and, and it zeroes in on the character work, and that's what makes this really special. And it showed that Schumacher had a real deft hand with actors. And so, I think that this is a really cool, way to see a different variation of Schumacher's talents and what he had. I'm sure that the boys are going to rant about all the other ones on there, but Schumacher's got some really bangers. I know some people hate it, but I really like, I like 8mm. I really, really like Falling Down, Flatliners, The Lost Boys. The guy made some great films. So rest in peace, Joel. You will be missed, and you did make some fantastic movies that will live with us forever. As for Tigerland, I think it's one of the best kind of anti-war movies kind of ever made, and it's a great, it's kind of small experiment for him. So I would give this 4 stars. Check it out if you haven't seen it already.
Recommendations. All right. Would you like to go first?
I would. Joel Schumacher, obviously, we're paying tribute to the great man.
We certainly are.
The loyal servant of Hollywood. So I'm going to recommend one of his films. My personal favourite Joel Schumacher film would be the 1993 classic Falling Down.
Of course it is.
Starring my boy Michael Douglas in, I don't think, quite a career best performance, but if it's not number 1, it's number 2 and number 3 for me. I'd say it's one of his very best.
It is amazing. His father, Kurt, considers it his best.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah, we did.
Well, yes. May he rest in peace. 103, you can't complain about that.
That's right.
But probably had drank plenty of tea. Wall Street, it's always going to be Wall Street for me, but I don't think that's a better performance. I just prefer that. But he is sensational in this film. How's this for a cast, man? You got Robert Duvall, 2 of my favourite actors of all time, so I'm always going to be on board with that. Barbara Hershey.
Yep.
I wonder what happened to Barbara.
Oh, she's she did Anna Green Gables 4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Smashing it.
She's done something else recently. I just can't put my finger on it.
Frederick Forrest, Coppola fame, and Tuesday Weld, I believe.
He plays Frederick Forrester plays this crazy guy in the ammo store.
Yeah.
Wow.
The white supremacist guy.
Yes.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He was a great actor.
What a polarizing film.
Yeah, it is. It's quite controversial, isn't it? Now, I don't know if you agree with me. You probably do. I've always seen Falling Down as a black comedy, satirical, and definitely not racist.
No.
I don't know how it would fare coming out today.
Look, well, interesting about that because of today's political climate is that Falling Down came out not long after the LA riots.
Yeah, a year later. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was almost a social commentary regarding that.
Yeah.
So it was a finger on the pulse kind of film.
Absolutely.
It was. Many people would now view it as a right-wing kind of film.
I think so.
It wasn't.
Yeah, I don't think it is at all. I think that if you were to see it that way, it's only because there's a white middle-aged man, in the lead. He's that typical white-collar worker.
Yep.
and he feels irrelevant, squeezed out from his job. But I think that is just it's a very surface level reading of the film.
Because he's also the villain of the film. It's
Yeah,
not like he's an anti-hero, right?
That's right. What's the whole ending?
Yeah.
Can we discuss the ending? I don't want to.
Well, no, we'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
But I mean,
He has a realization.
We can sympathise with him.
Yeah.
We understand his frustrations because we've all felt it. But this is a movie about how easily you can be pushed over the edge.
That's right. Yeah, we're like 1 or 2 steps away from cracking. I think that's basically what the film says. Particularly when you feel not relevant. You know, thrown on the heap of society.
Yep.
And he does. Like I actually always love just the opening when he walks in to get the Coke or whatever. And he's
right. Oh,
it's
my
just
God.
and then he's just like, I'm done now. That's not even like it's not exploitive either. I don't think because it's not like I don't think he's taking great pleasure in his crimes or it's all he's doing it with weariness.
He apologises.
He does. Like there's an air of sadness about him.
Yep.
So I don't think it's glorifying his actions whatsoever. Which I think there has been a criticism of that. And that's a criticism with those films like Taxi Driver, those type of movies. But it's very clear that Schumacher's not being exploitive in that portrayal.
And you do have the Robert Duvall character that comes in and sort of makes sense of all this.
That's right.
He kind of apologises on behalf of the film.
Similar, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, see, because his character's on his last day of work, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, but but he's addressing all his race relation issues and he's trying to make it right within his community and it's a very interesting dynamic.
Yeah,
there's also social commentary on like family court and things like that going on.
Absolutely.
Custody and
yeah, it's also the best thing about it is that on a surface level though, it is highly entertaining. It's a good little thriller. So they're the best, those films that have the social commentary, but they understand that you got people who are going to watch something for 2 hours and they need to have a measure of entertainment.
Mine, I think most of you probably guess, or would you guess where I'm coming from? I reckon a lot of people might peg me for a Lost Boys kind of guy.
Yes, but
I'm going to go Flatline.
Yes.
Another staple from my teenage years. It's always felt like an important film to me. Probably sort of, it feels more important than what it is.
Yes.
But I guess it explored sort of dark ethical questions for me when I was young. It delves into the concepts of life after death and a lot of moral ambiguity going on.
Yeah.
I liked all that because I think when you're a teenager and you're developing and sort of, it feels important.
You're curious about it.
And now as an adult, you look back on it and it's just a gothic horror movie. It feels tonally different from a lot of horror movies that were released at the time.
Yeah.
In many ways, I think it's like a comparison to The Lost Boys because it had that very strong sense of hyper-realism.
Yeah.
The designs, the colour schemes, and the scores, and the music and the soundtracks. You know, they're really, really haunting. So I just love it. I think the cast is exceptional. It was the Brat Pack, essentially, wasn't it? Because you had, Kiefer Sutherland, Julia Roberts, you had William Baldwin, Oliver Platt. Who am I missing? I hate that. There's somebody else. Oh, Kevin Bacon.
Oh, Bacon. Yeah. Man who's in everything.
Yes. It's just a great film. The horror is tasty. The drama is exceptional. Flatliners, if you've never seen it, get on it.
Tasty.
Yes. So, as I said, we're going to give some cool stuff away thanks to Eagle Entertainment. They're back on board with some tasty new release treats for us. One of which is called Trick, directed by Patrick Lussier, who's the guy behind My Bloody Valentine, which was quite a big hit. This one stars Omar Epps, Jamie Kennedy, and Tom Atkins.
Omar.
Everyone in the horror community loves Tom Atkins. He's a bit of a legend. The second one's called Death Do Us Part, which is described as War of the Roses meets Shaun of the Dead.
Wow.
There's another Michael Douglas reference for you.
I'll have to check out that.
It's a juicy horror double feature. And to win, all you need to do is share one of our posts this week on Facebook. We will select one of the sharers at random and announce the winner on next week's show. Share. Not like, not comment, actually share.
SHARE, people.
That's right.
Right.
And also next week, if you want to get to the bottom of this umbrella motif that we've got running through this show, well, tune in because I hope to get to the bottom of that.
Indeed. Look, listeners, I may have had an encounter with some form of an umbrella that resulted in a mild concussion. If you want to know the details, I'm not willing to divulge just yet for my own pride.
I've been meaning to ask you, what's your favourite umbrella in a supporting role? You've got Gene Kelly's Broly in Singing in the Rain, Julie Andrews in Mary Poppins, the Penguin from Batman Returns. Lost in Translation's got a great transparent umbrella.
Ray Fiennes from the Avengers.
Yes, you've got the umbrella from Rainy Day New York, which we're yet to see.
Yes.
That could be a hot up
Well,
contender.
That could take the mantle from Julie.
Hagrid from Harry Potter.
Hagrid, of course. Of course, Hagrid. Robbie Coltrane, man, what a lad. Underrated actor. It'd have to be Julie flying off over London. No one can rock an umbrella like that lady. Maybe me.
Yes.
But I'm going to give it to Julie.
Anyway, mate, it's been radical having you back at the desk. This show needs a sparring partner, sir, and you are it.
I'm it. Well, jousting sticks, mate.
And how about all of you people listening? Thanks for joining us for another week. You all keep spreading the love as we go, and like a pandemic, it's sprouting up all over the place. We've got people listening in the US, we've got people in the UK, we've got people in Asia.
Yes, it's global.
That's right. We're like COVID-20.
We are.
Yes. Big tip of the hat to Jarret Gahan, Guillermo from Screen Realm, Africa Chairman Adam Ross, and thanks to Ben Helwig and the guys at Bonehead Weekly, and of course our gratitude to Kimble Rendall for that fantastic conversation, and a massive shout out to Grant Hardie from Monster Pictures for taking the time to chat. We'll be back next week to do it all over again. Here's a track from one of Joel Schumacher's more underrated movies, Bad Company. It's called Tonight. It's by Next. Hope you enjoy. See you next Monday.
Au revoir.
Next DM.
Somebody turn the music up tonight. Somebody drink the liquor up tonight. Everybody now, come on, get up tonight. Y'all can't start acting crazy. Somebody's talking and fighting here tonight. Somebody hot as a cut in here tonight. Don't be acting no shot in here tonight. One of these ladies gonna be having my baby.
Welcome to the party, hope you're here to kick it. Tonight gonna be the night that you won't soon forget. Your boys pulling up in Benzes and Corvettes. Chains ain't gold, princess cut and back.
Ladies in here looking so fantastic, bending over like they're doing gymnastics, shaking it fast to the music blasting. Tonight, let's make it happen.
Somebody turn the music up tonight. Somebody drink the liquor up tonight. Everybody now, come on, get up tonight. Y'all can't start acting crazy. Somebody's talking and fighting here tonight. Somebody hot as a cut in here tonight. Don't be acting no shot in here tonight. These ladies gonna be having my baby.
We're popping bottles like Avion. Come to VIP and get you some. Chasing chickens better get you one. Ain't no fun if you don't get none.
Right now, dog, my mission's clear. Spitting down one game in these women's ear. Soon as I think she's feeling the share, we hopping in the whip and we leaving here. So
somebody turn the music up tonight. Somebody drink the liquor up tonight. Everybody now, come on, get up tonight. Y'all can't start acting crazy. Somebody's talking and fighting here tonight. Somebody hot as a cut in here tonight. Don't be acting no shot in here tonight. One of these ladies gonna be having my baby. Somebody turn the music up tonight. Somebody drink the liquor up tonight. Everybody now, come on, get up tonight. Y'all can't start acting crazy. Somebody's talking and fighting here tonight. Somebody hot as a cut in here tonight. Don't be acting no shot in here tonight. One of these ladies gonna be having my baby. Make sure that you get up. Tell the DJ to turn it up.
Turn it up.
Close your eyes and feel that funk. The bass bump, 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 bump.
Yeah.
Don't next, always give you what you want.
Yeah.
That DM flavor that gets the place crunk.
Yeah.
That bangs in your trunk.
It goes
bump, 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 bump. Somebody turn the music up tonight. Somebody drink the liquor up tonight. Everybody now, come on, get up tonight. Y'all can't start acting crazy.
Somebody's starting to fight in here. Somebody hires a cut in here. But don't be acting all shut in here.
One of these ladies gonna be having my baby. Somebody turn the music up tonight.